Okay, so welcome everyone to this webinar on SSE's Scale and Accelerate programs that we're now recruiting for over the next couple of months. So just to give you an idea of what we're going to cover on this webinar. So we're going to say a little bit about the School for Social Entrepreneurs. If you don't already know anything about us, we're going to say something about how we work. We're going to hear from someone who's been through one of our previous programs. We're going to say more detail about the program itself, importantly how to apply, and then there'll be time for questions and answers. So, and I should say, I'm Ian Baker, I'm the Head of Learning here at SSE. So, the School for Social Entrepreneurs. So, hopefully you should be seeing this slide. So, what we do, we bring people together who want to change things for the better. So, for us, there are social entrepreneurs students. They're tackling all sorts of issues which they are passionate about. So it could be alleviating poverty, it could be around education, inequality, homelessness, climate change. That's up to you. So you bring the issues that you're seeking to address through your social enterprises, and then we support you to build your capacity and leadership skills to make you do that more effectively. So every year we help more than 1,000 people to learn how to transform their communities and help people in need. And we're SSE in London, but we're one of 11 schools changing lives across the UK, Canada, and India. So how do we do that? Well, we won't teach you, so we're called a school, but we're not really like a traditional school. So we're not about essays, exams, textbooks, anything like that. You'll hear stories from people who've been there and done it. So other social entrepreneurs and social sector leaders who've gone through the journey of scaling up their organizations and beyond. So you'll hear from them and what worked, what didn't work, the challenges they faced, etc. Hopefully you won't be bored. So expect inspiration from those other social entrepreneurs and from the peers that you're learning with. You'll have great conversations with the people on your group, and you'll be taking action based on what you're learning. You'll be taking it back into your organizations and applying it. So hopefully the sessions are challenging and fun. So one of the biggest things I think about what we do is help you build that trusted network of support, and that's mainly because you'll be on a learning program with 14 other people who are all trying to do something similar to you. So they'll all be trying to scale even further their organizations. So it's a real opportunity to build networks with them, get support from them, challenge from them, and really share at a level of openness that you might not be able to do with, say, for example, people in your staff team or people on your board. You know, it's a real opportunity to share with people who are kind of in the same shoes as you. And I think that's one of the biggest aspects of what we do. You'll also develop yourself as a leader as well as your skills. I think at this level, which is kind of Scale Up Plus, you've really developed an organization, you're trying to grow it further, building your teams and managing people and developing yourself as a leader is one of the biggest things that you are probably working on and thinking about a lot. These are some quotes from a couple of people who've been through our programs. So these people have been through Startup, I think. I'll just read maybe the first one out. So at times I've been feeling really challenged or a bit overwhelmed, I've been able to pick up the phone and get help and advice. I couldn't have got this far had it not been with SSE. So just some testimonials from people who've been through it. So the Scale and Accelerate programs. So these are 3 programs that we're recruiting for. So they're funded by the Postcode Innovation Trust, which is an independent trust that runs the People's Postcode Lottery. They're funding us to provide peer-based learning programs on effort to support social entrepreneurs who are kind of at the scaling and beyond scaling level, working around 3 themed areas. So these are sector-focused programs. So one's health and well-being, The second one is training and employment. And the third one is environment and conservation. So to be able to be successful at getting a place on these programs, the organization you're scaling needs to be working on one of those three issues. And we kind of look at them fairly broadly in terms of what they cover. So there's a lot of scope in there for being able to access the programs, I think. So the programs are delivered by us, SSE, and they're all going to be delivered in London, apart from one of the learning blocks, which we'll come on to in a minute, which will be a residential block somewhere else in the UK. So we haven't decided where they're going to be yet, but we'll work that out with you once we know who's coming on the programs. So they'll support leaders of charities and social enterprises who are actively looking to scale further their kind of business model in terms of their impact and their operations. So it's going to be a 10-day learning program. So it'll be coming blocks of 2 days at a time. So as I say, they'll be in London apart from one of them, which will be somewhere else in the UK. And it's spread over 8 months, deliberately so. So we do tend to do our learning programs over an elapsed duration to allow you time to come in, learn, go away, and then put the learning into practice and try things out on your organizations before you come back in and then learn some more. So, and as I've kind of already said, you'll get to know other charity and social entrepreneur leaders from your sector who will really support you in your plans. There's no cost to you other than the time you're taking out your organizations. So programs are fully funded, so we won't charge you for them. They don't come with any grant funding. Some of our programs do. This one doesn't. These are purely learning programs to try and support people at that kind of bigger end of the scale of the social entrepreneurs we work with. Although I think there is funding to cover accommodation and travel costs. We'll come on to that in just a moment. So as I said, the structure is 5 times 2 days in London. And each one has a cohort of 15 people. There you go, accommodation, meals and travel costs are covered. So the cost to you is the time that you take out of your organizations, but hopefully you'll find that is a valuable investment worth making, because I think it really allows you to stand back from the day-to-day operations and think more strategically about how you're scaling and get that expert input from either our speakers or your peers. We also include in the learning program action learning sets, so that there'll be 5 half-day action learning sets over the duration of the program. So these are smaller group sessions where you'll be broken down into probably groups of about 5 people in each action learning set.
Oxford Wood Recycling, or OWR, is a social enterprise first established in 2005. My name is Richard Snow. I'm a founder member and the CEO. The organisation was recently awarded charitable status and operates a commercial wood waste collection service, recycling or reusing nearly 2,000 tonnes of wood per annum. The service, in common with around 30 UK-based community wood recycling organisations, operates as a loose collection, with wood loaded by hand on site as an alternative to a skip. And its customers are from the construction industries or manufacturer and supply companies who produce wooden packaging waste, such as crates and pallets. The primary focus at OWR is on the reuse of construction timber waste, rather than recycling. This is carried out by a third party. So around 350 tonnes of reclaimed wood is brought back each year to the warehouse in Abingdon and processed for resale as DIY material or further processed into shelving or furniture. Through the use of social media and website, OWR has built a high profile locally as an Aladdin's cave of cheap and interesting wood for DIY use. Trading with these activities allows us to operate, we hope, as an interesting, accessible, and inspirational environmental business, but also, importantly, as a social firm. Our social mission is to offer opportunities to people who are disadvantaged in finding work. OWR takes referrals of volunteers from many sources, such as mental health organisations, disability supporters, Job Centre Plus and the justice system. Our volunteers' common experience is that they've fallen out of work for a variety of reasons and have been unable to re-employ their skills and experience. Over the life of the organisation, OWR has worked with around 300 volunteers and has employed 70 people. 28 of these started as volunteers. They were all long-term unemployed and had often faced stigma, prejudice, institutional barriers and poverty. Their lives have been transformed by being given support to reintegrate themselves into a productive workplace and then the opportunity to work in open employment and to earn a living wage. Today, OWR employs 20 people and has a turnover of 620,000. This is gained almost completely from trading. The organisation is still growing fast, and with our recent charitable status, we hope to rapidly increase our social and environmental impact over the next couple of years. The founding members of OWR met on a forestry course at Oxford. We were concerned about global issues of sustainable forestry and climate change, and also concerned for what we saw as the poor state of forestry in the UK and our over-reliance on imported timber and timber products. Cheap transport and global inequities of wealth meant that then, as to an extent now, the UK was flooded with cheap imported timber that was being used once, if at all, by the construction industry and then discarded. Carbon that could have been locked up for much longer was being released, and virgin timber was being used for DIY when used materials would do just as well and would be cheaper. We saw the community wood recycling model as ideal for addressing timber waste and wastefulness, as it was both enterprising, that is a business not reliant on funding, and also predicated on working with volunteers who might be energised to join a good cause. The sale and processing of reclaimed timber would also require people and skills, leading to job opportunities. By working with volunteers, a social enterprise can start on a shoestring, but it can also seek to address social issues such as unemployment and injustice. In 2014, I was accepted onto the Scale-Up course at SSE in London. This was a very difficult period for the organisation and very challenging for me personally. We were desperately seeking suitable alternative accommodation for OWR at the time and facing huge increases in premises costs. Our turnover in 2014 was just 265,000, and we needed to grow by 150% in 2015 just to survive. We didn't then have all the skills we needed in management, and I felt as if I was drowning in the number and frequency of day-to-day operational issues. Scale Up provided physical relief from this everyday business and an external and distant space in which to unpack some of our current issues and subject them to group scrutiny. This in itself can be challenging, as being honest and open can lead you to feel quite exposed, but there was always a supportive environment in which to do this. During action learning sets, I was able to benefit from the collective input from leaders of social enterprises, facilitated by the course leaders, focusing on particular issues and often highlighting some glaringly obvious truths. For some colleagues on the programmes, their difficulties were with their board of trustees or directors. In my case, it was the challenge of managing staff who were struggling with our rate of growth. Well, I really enjoyed the course, and I did find it challenging, but the things I learnt about management and leadership and about myself still trickle down and assist me today. We are a very different organisation now, confident in our business model, relaxed about our charity status, and excited about the future. However, there's still a lot to learn and decisions to be made concerning the organisation's future direction. There's certainly room for improvement with our business administration. We're still building robust management processes, especially for health and safety, and need to focus much more on environmental management as we seek to be a carbon neutral business. In terms of strategy, we're concerned that we don't just grow, but grow in line with our values and our mission. Is bigger always better? Are there different ways to deliver social goods? Forums like the Scale Up Scale+Accelerate programme are extremely beneficial in dealing with leadership issues, making new contacts and in supporting strategic development. They can also be a lot of fun. And this quality of learning is very rare. I highly recommend it.